Pretty quick, so the bot already said that I'm live, so if it's lying to me, it's the bot's fault, not mine. Oh, that was tier 3 coming up, it was just really strangely timed. Just waiting on the bot to tell me that I'm live and that the link's gonna be here and stuff, so I can... There it is! Hello! Welcome everyone to the finale of ALR Season 5 Tier 1 here. It's going to be USA. Not the most conventional place to have a finale, but it's not a bad track, depending on who you ask. I know there are some people who severely hate this track out there. But personally, it's not so bad. And I know there's some people here who agree with me. But yeah, as I was saying, not the most normal place to have a finale, but it's a finale nonetheless. It's round 15 here of the season. 17 drivers, and they should be readying up now because they have got the message to ready up. So we should be getting underway any second now. And we'll get to see some action. Get to see what excitement we're going to get out of the season finale. Of course, the championship is still going. So I'll quickly find the current championship standings for you. Why is it always so hard to find? There it is. Okay. Oh, it's not been updated since Brazil. That's cool. That is very cool to see. Well, before Brazil, I'm going to be honest, I think Rudy's won the championship. Hold on. Before Brazil, he was 46 points ahead of Dresser. I'm going to have to check the Brazil results now. I thought the championship was still going. No one announced that there was a champion. That's so sad. Because I'm pretty sure... Hold on. I'm pretty sure Dressbassen beat Rudy. But I don't think it was by enough to keep the championship alive, if I'm right. Where's the... Try and quickly get this done while we're loading into the session. Yeah, Rudy finished like 4th, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Rudy finished 4th. Oh no, Dresser lost to Rudy. So yeah, Rudy won. So even with what's the difference between 3rd and 4th? That's 3 points. So 49 points should be the gap coming here. So unless we're doing any kind of double points, Rudy has won the Season 5 championship. I don't think we are doing any double points. No one's said anything about it, so I'd assume not. Hello. You heard Rudy's going to do last to first challenge. That should be interesting. That should be a good watch, actually. As we see, first car on track is Jim. There we go. I hate how long it takes for the camera to let you see on board. As always, for the outlap, we're going to hide all the unimportant information and watch Jim already cut a corner. The S section is going to be the biggest place in this track for cutting corners. Hello to Magnus. Yeah, so the S section there is going to always be the easiest place to cut on this track. It's especially, I think, the 3rd corner of the S section, because it only takes a small mistake or having your speed slightly wrong, and it just makes that corner so difficult to get right, especially if you're on pad or controller. So yeah. Ooh. Just looking like he's struggling a bit on his outlap here, Jim. Hopefully he has a better time of things on his full actual run. Oh, that might be part of it. It's lagging. But he will be the first driver to start applying lap in this session, so we start the lap. So a long run up the hill towards turn 1. He's going to brake just around about earlier than that. It's not very useful. But keeping it tight through the right here, you want to open up to the left, cut it as much as you can, to then cut the right bit and then the left bit as much as you can, with a small lift, or shifting down twice into here and then down another time into here. Keeping a wide line, you want to cut in late using not much of the curb so that you open up the next corner and run wide on exit before cutting the little kink and using the curve on entry to the hairpin here to give maximum rotation. Using a little bit of the curve, you want to short shift up on exit, not get held by traffic as you go through into the DRS zone. Hopefully Rudy gets out of the way here. He does give him a bit of slipstream for braking at the 100 metre board and cutting this hairpin as much as possible, using as much track width as you can before coming over to the left, using the curb a little bit there in third gear, and run out wide, missing the second apex and getting as close to the red stuff on the left hand side there before opening this up for a late apex with a double left hander before coming back into this triple right hander. You want to stay as right as possible throughout the whole thing, just like that, before using curve and entry, getting as much curve on the middle and extending on exit as much as the game will allow you. Again, you'll keep it wide into the final corner, short shifting on your way out, maybe use a bit of curve on exit, but a lot of people will choose not to due to the poor traction you can get if you get it a little bit wrong. As FRL Bread actually takes away that fastest lap of the session with the 29.6, so he's gone 1.3 seconds faster than Jim did, and Ishtar with a 31.2. Basket with a 31.0 moves his way up into P2, and Yarlo into P4 with a 31.1. Hello to everyone just joining us for the finale here in USA. Let's see, as Dresser with the 29.8 goes P2. Let's see, the other Renault of Lanamala coming to us into the invalid lap, unfortunately for him. It's going to be Harmer next across the line on a valid lap, and across the line it's going to be a 30.7, good enough for P3 at the moment. And he's followed across the line by Rossi, who does a 31.2, which is only good enough for P8. The other Red Bull of Rally is invalidated, so he won't be setting a lap here as Polky comes out the pits. As Rudy actually retires and stalls, he left the session, so hopefully he can get an invite back at some point. Talpiz here, just coming through the final sector now. Try and board with him, see how he gets on through the last part of his lap. Looking pretty tidy, just about not invalidating there. Going to open his DRS across the line, and he's going to go fastest with a 29.5. Let's put him on provisional pole after the first run here. Not many guys left to complete runs. Chiquito coming through the final corner now. So 29.4, so he goes provisional pole now. So 1/10 quicker than Talpiz, who was 1/10 quicker than Bread. So going to be a good fight for pole here, I think, between these three. Maybe a couple more who didn't get the best run on their first laps here. So it could be on for a good qualifying battle. There's Ladamar abandons his lap. Let's see what Sepski's up to. Looking tidy. While we're getting out of the way, so he shouldn't have been an issue there. As Rossi retires from the session, so... Oh, that's an invalidation on the entry to the penultimate corner there from Sepski, so he's going to abandon that lap, come straight into the pits as Rossi, I think, hit the pit entry and retired. So I don't think that was an intentional retirement. Sorry. So yeah, that's quite unfortunate for Rossi there. Hopefully he doesn't block the pit lane too much. Let's see some guys in their outlaps now. We've got Jim, Ishtar and Wilt all on outlaps. I'm going to ride on board with Jim, who's the furthest through his outlap, so he will be the first guy to start his second run in this session. Let's see what he's up to. Hopefully he can get a bit better time than he did in his first run. He just didn't really push the limits of the track too much for his first run. It was quite conservative. Obviously it's a banker lap, so just getting a lap in is the most important thing. But hopefully now that he's got that lap in and he's on his second run, we can see a more aggressive lap from the Renault driver. Another driver who will be important to keep an eye on is Bread, since he did set that provisional pole time when he completed this lap. It's now only third for him at the moment, so we'll probably cut away from Jim's lap partway through to go watch that. Of course everyone's more interested in the fight towards the front, because that's where all the glory is, really. You know, it's you get remembered for winning a race, but you don't get, you know, a midfield position like 7th or 8th. You know, you're not really gonna celebrate over that too much unless you're struggling for points in the season. So yeah, of course everyone viewing as well, it's more entertaining when the stakes are higher and that win is, or at least pole in this case, is on the line. So just seeing, it's been a good first sector there from Jim. It's been very smooth through the S section, not getting too much traffic in his way, but we are going to cut away now to watch the Ferrari of Bread begin his second lap of this session. You can see using that curve that we were talking about before. He starts his lap, let's see, he runs up to turn 1 using as much entry curve as he can. Small lock up, missing the apex a bit, but it's not going to affect him too much because he does use the track width effectively as he uses the curve there, opening up turns 4, 5 and 6, taking it flat there in 7th, down into 5th, and then 4th for the next corner. No, he holds it in 5th. So getting very aggressive in the gears here, probably for a bit better traction, I'd imagine. And you see just the way he opened up the final part of the S's there, just being patient on the throttle. It would have gained him a lot of time over what we were seeing before. Decent run there through the hairpin onto the back straight. Now he's going to be gaining time all the way down this long straight. He's even using a bit of the red stuff there to minimise the run distance down towards the next corner, braking just after the 100 metre board. And there you go, cutting the hairpin and then using the curve on exit to make sure he keeps that momentum up. He's 4 tenths up in this lap nearly, 3.5 tenths. As I said, missing that second apex there, running a bit towards the red stuff to tighten up this corner, but it will give you a much better exit. He makes a small mistake there on traction on exit, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time, but he's got a lot of time already on this lap, so it shouldn't be too bad. He's missed the apex of the final corner though, and that will lose him well over a tenth, I'd imagine. Let's see as he comes through the final corner now. Short shift to 4th, it's another mistake there, he crosses the line, and it's only a 10.5 improvement up into P2. So he lost a lot of time there through those couple of mistakes, and unfortunately he does not get himself back on provisional pole. But there's a few mistakes there towards the second half of the lap, but you can see just how much more confidence he had compared to the other laps we saw so far this session, and that's really what makes the difference when it comes to the time. Dresser here with an invalid lap, so he won't be improving. He'll probably be coming into the pits and abandoning that. We have Chiquito up front now on the lap. Let's see if he can improve his lead at the top of this session. It's going to be purple sector 1, but only just by about 100th, but it's still an improvement, of course. So he slightly misses the final section of the S's there, and there's a little bit of a slide on exit. That's going to cost him a bit of time, but hopefully he can make it back up elsewhere. Again, misses the apex of the head, and onto the straight. It's going to lose him a little bit of time, of course, but shouldn't be anything to the point where it's unrecoverable, as Sepsky moves his way up into P2 with 29.508. Again, using that entry curve, not quite cutting the hairpin as much as we saw before. He has struggling traction there. He actually uses second to get more turning, and looks like it's worked out quite well for him. Again, just opening up the entry to that corner so that you can get a better exit all the way through the triple right-hander now. Sticking over to that right-hand side before swinging himself back out the corner, hitting that very nicely, but he's invalidated. He just hit it a bit too much of a cut, and he's invalidated his lap. He dives into the pits and abandons his second run here in this session. We'll have a look at Scholesy, who has actually managed to get back into the session, but he's a long way down in his time. He has set a time good enough for P9, but we'll actually switch to Sven, who's just behind him on track, as he's on a bit more of a promising run, I'd imagine. See as he comes to the front. I actually think he's also on the main lap. Yeah. So that's really everyone's middle runs completed here. Ladamala a bit out of sync, so we can ride aboard with him for a bit. I'm pretty sure Polvy's not on that. No, Polvy is on the lap, okay. So we can ride on board with this flying lap for now. We can look at Ladamala in a bit when he begins his lap. Slightly different lines to what we've seen before here from Polby. You can just see that he's using different gears, taking slightly different lines, and let's see how it works out for him. He was currently P6 with a 30.1, 6 tenths. Wow, that's a bit harsh. 5.5 tenths off the current provisional pole time. Doesn't look like he's going to gain that amount of time on this lap, but I'm sure any time he can gain could be worth a position here. He is 3 tenths behind the next car of Dresser, so it will be a tight one. We'll have to wait and see. He takes the front corner there very nicely and actually dives into the pit, so maybe just not improving on that delta by any amount that will make it worth continuing. As we cut to see Ladamala here, just coming into the hairpin before the second DRS straight. Let's see at the end of this straight what his sector times are looking at. Of course, the sector split being just between the next corner and that double right-hander. So it won't be long before we get to see that. He's very low on ERS though, so I think this might be his second run on these tyres. Of course he doesn't, so 1 minute as he crosses this middle sector, but of course he doesn't have a delta because he hasn't set a lap time yet, so nothing to compare it to right now, but a very solid middle sector time there so far. Let's see as he comes through the penultimate corner, doesn't invalidate. Coming into the final corner, he's run out of ERS, so he's not going to have any ERS. He's run up to the line, it's going to be a 29.7 though. That's good enough for P5, so it puts him just ahead of Dresser. So a very nice lap from Ladamala, who's been a bit out of form so far this season. And his teammate Jim has actually invalidated, so we'll be coming into the pits. He's a locked up. He's done pretty much what I'd imagine Rossi did, but he's gotten away with it without retiring here, just double locking up into the pit wall there after a late decision to pit. Ishtar also on a, well, Ishtar not on a lap by the looks of it. What's going on here? Is he doing 2 out laps, or has he just made a mistake? His lap's not invalid, so I wouldn't imagine that that's the reason why he's backed out. He must have had a spin or something somewhere that I just didn't notice. There wasn't any yellow flags before I moved over to him, so can't have been anything too serious, I wouldn't imagine. Another driver on the lap right now is Basket. That's just riding forward with him for a bit. As you see, not really using any entry curb into turn 1, not really hitting the apex either, or using as much exit as he could, but I'm sure it's just what he's used to. Hi Kazu, thank you for joining us towards the end of this qualifying session here. with a minute and 40 left on the clock. We're expecting everyone to be starting their final runs any time now. Just looking on the mini-map, looks like a lot of the guys are on that back straight. There's a Haas and a Ferrari on the back straight, which I would imagine is Bread and Chiquito. Sepsky looks like he's currently coming through turn 2 as Istra retires from the session. Yeah, so Sepsky just coming through that first sector split now, so he'll be setting his lap a little bit later on, and Tao Piz will be the other car just coming down the back straight now, so that's Basket's teammate, and those are really the top 4 contenders for the pole position in this session. All of them with very close times, covered by about a tenth for the 4 drivers. So we're going to come towards the end of Basket's lap here, and watch the start of Chiquito's lap. Obviously Chiquito is currently provisional pole, so just watch what he's doing on his lap at the moment. Very smooth through turn 1 there, good on the power. Using as much curb as he can through turn 3. Now he can try as he invalidates through turn 4, so that is confirming. So he's invalidated his final run here, and that's going to put him under pressure a bit. He's only, well, less than half a tenth ahead of Bread here, so if Bread can find half a tenth, we know he can, but he's invalidated at turn 4, and now Dresser has moved his way up into P2, and it's only just missing out on P1 by about 0.03 of a second there, so interesting. Tao Piz now, the man to watch as he's coming through the end of the first sector here. He's gone purple, he's improving by nearly a whole tenth. So with this pace, he will be able to grab pole position in this session. We're going to have to watch the rest of his lap to find out if he can capitalise on this good start. Of course, Bread, Chiquito, both invalidating. Dresser, I don't think is going to get another lap in. He just completed a lap, and Sepsky didn't come out of the pits, or was finished his session, so he didn't get to the line in time or something. So it's all on Tao Piz now. Of course, Polky not far behind, but hasn't really been a major player in this session so far, so all eyes on Tao Piz as he goes purple in the middle sector. That's nearly 0.3 improvement here as he comes into the final sector of the lap. It's looking very good for him to get a 0.2 maybe. Maybe if he pushes hard through this final sector he can get a 0.1, not that he needs it, with the current pole time being a 0.4. So if he just keeps it clean for the rest of this lap, he will be able to grab the pole, and he hasn't invalidated through the penultimate corner, the biggest opportunity for invalidating in the second half of this lap. He's going to cross the line, and it's going to be a 29.216, and moves himself up into provisional pole. Now let's see what Polby's doing. It looks like he's abandoning his lap, so it will be Tao Piz who's on pole for this session, unless Dresser's gone for a second lap, which he hasn't. Jim, the only driver not to complete their final run then, and he has, well, along with Dresser and Polby, but Jim has backed out of his lap too, so that will be it for this qualifying session. Coming into the final round here in USA, Tao Piz on pole from Chiquito. Third is Dresser, with fourth being Sepsky and fifth Bread. Sixth place Polby and seventh Ladamala, and eighth place Harmer. And all 8 of these guys were covered by about half a second. In fact, from P2 down to P8 is only covered by about 0.3, with of course Tao Piz's final run being the only valid one out of these top guys, so he is a little bit further ahead. So very close stuff coming into the race here for the final the final qualifying session of the season. And what a session it's been. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope you'll stick around, because we should have a great race coming up with how close it's looking. Jim and Scorsy with identical times. That's for, oh, that's unlucky for P10. But Tao Piz on pole from Chiquito, Dresser, Sepsky, Bread, Polwy, Ladamala, Harmer, Yarlo and Jim. Jim going to be regretting that he set that time so early, because if he set it after Scolsey had, he'd be P11 with a free choice of tyres, which is very important at this track. But instead Scolsey with that identical time is the first driver who's able to choose whatever tyre they want for the start, so he's going to have a big strategic advantage over Jim, and could be on for some good points here if he keeps it up, obviously. Swen P12 with Basket, Rally, Wilt, Rossi and Ishtar the final guys to set times in this session. Rudy starting his last to first, obviously with no time in qualifying, as he has won the championship and decided to go for a bit of a fun round here. And if you excuse me a second, I will go. It's looking very dark here, but I'm not sure if there's supposed to be any rain. I will go and quickly grab myself a drink since my throat is dying. Hey guys, I'm back. Just had to go grab myself something to drink because my throat was feeling a bit dry. It's actually very warm in my room right now. I'm gonna open a window. But formation lap, of course. I'll say it for the final time of this season. My favourite part of any race. Do you not just love the excitement that comes with the formation lap? And Sculsey, I think, that's quite unlucky actually. I think what's happened is because Sculsey left during the qualifying session. This is a common game glitch, and what it's actually done is it's just sent him to the back of the grid. So I was talking about him getting that P11 with the best. Well, I mean P11 at a track like this is actually, I'd rather qualify P11 than something like even P8 or 7, to be honest. Just because you get that extra strategy advantage, but. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate for him that glitch has happened here. Don't like to see glitches really, and that it's happened here in the final race of the season is kind of kills the fun a little bit, especially for Rudy, who's already gained one position in his last to first. Maybe he'll hold the clutch in the start, so he's behind Sculsey, but I don't know. But yeah, that's quite unfortunate there for Sculsey, but it will be fun to see him and his teammate, and maybe if they work together a bit at the start here to work their way through the field. But we'll have to see. The field now formed up for the most part. Yeah, so the field now formed up, so we should be waiting on the lights. Should be coming on any second now. There's the session loading. So we now have lights coming on with 3, 4 and 5 red lights, and we are away. Very quick light sequence there, but it's been a good start from Chiquito on the inside there. He's had a good run on Talpiz, but is he going to be able to break late? He's going to have the inside, of course, and it's just going to be a little bit too close for him, and he's just not been able to force his car up the inside. But who it has been a good start for there is Bread. Moved up to P3 from P5 already. It looked like he was on the inside of 2 cars in a 3 wide moment into turn 1 there. I think I saw in the background, but further back we have Rudy already making his way up to 15, so he's passed 2 cars at the start. Rossi down to last, so he seems to have had a bit of an issue there. Sculsey ahead of him as well. We have A couple of position changes. We have the Mercs changing places into the hairpin. They can run side by side down the straight by the looks of it. Let's see which one of them is going to get the better run. There's a small move there for Swen. They do make contact, but doesn't look like anything major, as there's a big send there from Jim on Harmer, and now he's lost the position to Yarlo too. So yeah, big send on the inside, made contact with Harmer. I don't know, it was probably a bit of an opportunistic lunge. I don't think you can really blame Harmer for turning in there, but maybe the shields will see it another way, as there's a big moment there for Yarlo, and he's in the wall, he's got damage. So just on traction, he lost the car, and he's broken his front wing, he's down to last place, and that is horrible stuff for the Mercedes driver there here in the finale. But coming back to the front now, we have the leaderboard glitch now, because it's lap 2 not 3 and Tao Piz is in P14, but it is what it is, I guess. Apparently Cody's fixed this, but apparently not. Oh well. Should be sorting itself out now. I think it's because there's a car in the pits. Go on Dresser and Rally. They're in completely different places. So yeah, okay, there's the board. It's mostly sorted itself out now. We have our deltas back. Of course, Yarlo is not in the lead, but once he exits the pits, it should sort itself out. It should drop to last, so it shouldn't be a problem there. Just looking on board here with Dresser, he's got Polbury behind him, not really close enough. It's actually the intervals here are all broken, aren't they? God's sake. When they cross the line, it will fix itself. But as you can see, before DRS gets enabled, it is quite difficult to overtake here. You get all that dirty air through the first sector, so that even when you do get into that big long back straight, you just don't really have enough power with just DRS alone to make anything work. But once DRS gets enabled, that should change. Of course, USA is one of those tracks where it is a bit harder to overtake, especially with how much dirty air you get to that first sector. So you have to be kind of 5-4 tenths behind if you really want to have a good go at a move, and you really need to use a lot of DRS to make it work. But obviously the gaps here at the start are still quite close in places. You see Ishtar already with a penalty, but he is less than half a second behind Wilt, who is again less than half a second behind Rudy. If we just have a quick look at this battle here, we can see that as they come through this section, the dirty air will just cause them to drop back a little bit. And I think the big problem why it's so hard to overtake like that sometimes this game is because the slipstream doesn't work as it should. Because in slipstream in this game, to feel it, you really need to be about 6 tenths behind, as Ishtar gets another penalty for corner cutting there. Whereas in real life, you can feel the effects of slipstream from about 6 seconds back. So it's just a small issue with the game that makes overtaking harder than it should be. But of course, Cody's also haven't really coded dirty air to be as strong as it could be. As Chiquito then, with a 3-second time penalty, and Swen passing Jim there for P9, he's on the inside. Just about, I think, maybe just about room left there, but Jim not able to use it. It's a bit of a slide on. He's going to come into the double left-hander, and he's going to be sticking behind Jim for now. But as I was saying, Chiquito with a 3-second time penalty, and that is going to be huge at this point in the race. It's lap 3, he's already got that penalty, so maybe struggling to keep up with Tao Piz's pace a bit, and that is going to put him under pressure from cars behind who are going to want to pass him, because they don't want to be stuck behind someone that's going to end up behind him at the finish anyway. They want to push past him and see if they can make time up to the leader. Of course, Chiquito now dropping outside of that 1 second gap to the leader, so yeah, I think Bread here is really going to get past Chiquito as soon as possible. Already finished that drink. Just having a look at the gaps here, we have a few guys still quite close to each other, but the gaps are starting to spread out now. Bread actually very nicely, only 4 tenths behind, coming into the hairpin. He's going to have a very good run, especially with DRS open here. It's nice to see on board with Bread. He's going to open that DRS flap. He's going to be using his ERS through here. We're actually going to put telemetry on so we can see just how much ERS he's using in comparison to Chiquito. He actually has a little bit more. So Chiquito may be using a bit to defend on previous laps, and Yarlo has retired in the pits. So that is the end of his race. He is the first retirement from this race. Now let's see what Brett can do. He's got past Chiquito. Let's see if he can push after Talpiz and the lead of the race now. Very, very interesting battle forming here already in the opening stages of this race. Of course, it's a 28 lap race, so nothing is for certain just yet here on lap 4, but looking at the gap at the moment, it's looking like Chiquito is actually going to be close enough. Now, after that mistake, I should say before, he was close enough to maybe mount a challenge back into turn 1, but he had a bit of a swapper on exit, and unfortunately that lost him so much time that he just fell outside of that window of the possibility of overtaking into turn 1. We actually have Rudy very close to the back of Basket here, so Rudy fighting his way through the field is already looking like he could take P11 here in this race. He opted to start on those medium tyres, so yeah, he's going to have an advantage in a couple of laps time over the soft tyre runners in front of him, because the softs do die fairly quickly here in the race. Although, even though they do die quite quickly, you don't want to get rid of them very quickly, because you want to have the optimal tyres at the end of the race. So you tend to see people starting with the softs dragging out their soft tyre stint a little bit longer than they would really like to pace-wise. Is Ladamala may be close enough to go for a move on Dresser there, but not really doing anything with it. And Dresser again very close to the back of Sepsky, so that slipstream in DRS probably was what prevented Ladamala from making the overtake. We did, however, in the background have Rudy move himself up into P11 ahead of Basket there, so the next position he makes up will be for points, and it would be Jim, who's in P10 ahead. It's about 1.6 seconds the gap, so he's got quite a bit to close if he wants to make that move work anytime soon. Ladamala just under that half-second gap here, but he is going to be behind the car who's also got that DRS. I think Dresser also has more ERS than Ladamala at this stage of the race, so the advantage here is really in Dresser's hands. And if he can get past Sepsky this lap, then he'll have a good chance of chasing after Chiquito, of course. Chiquito with that time penalty, so he can start closing that gap, as it looks like Polwy wants a bit of this fight too. So it's going to be a four-man scrap for the minute. Let's see where this goes. Just looking at the gap out front, it looks like Talpiz is extending over Bread at the moment, as Rossi, Bread's teammate, gets a 3-second time penalty there down in P17. So it'll be between him and Ishtar, I think, this race. Of course, Ishtar currently having one more penalty than he does. Now we see Dresser on his way down the straight. He's going to move to the inside, and it's going to be late on the brakes from the Alfa Romeo driver. Sepsi's going to fight it, but he's just going to run out of room on the outside there. It's going to cost him a lot of momentum, and he had to concede the position to Dresser. Maybe that was tactical, maybe he wants to save a bit of DRS here, just keeping the slipstream in DRS and use that to defend from Ladamala and Polwy, save himself a bit of ERS, as he has been running very low over the last couple of laps. And let's see what happens. Chiquito also slowly falling back from Bread here, but is still inside of that DRS window, so he does still have a chance. Now let's see, as we come towards turn 1, we have Sepsky, Ladamala and Polwy again just holding position, all of them here at the moment. Probably the smart choice, because you can easily make a move into turn 1, but you're probably going to lose quite a bit more time than you would making that move later on in the lap. As Ladamala struggling a bit through the S's there, and Polwy actually nearly going for a bit of space that appeared on the inside, but thought better of it. It would have been a very silly thing to do at this point in the race, for sure, as Ishtar left the session. So a disconnect there, it looks like, for the teammate of the man we're currently looking at, as they all open DRS, so no one's going to really gain an advantage there. But let's see if anyone's brave on the brakes and can make a move down into this hairpin. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Sepsky falling back to around 7/10 behind Dresser, so not really having the pace to keep up at the moment, as Rudy has now closed that gap and moved his way up into P10. That's already into the points here on lap 7, having started 17th in this race after trying the last to first challenge after winning the championship. Of course, he did already have his teammate before he even got to the start line because of that glitch, unfortunately. But he's cutting his way through the field quite nicely here. And next up for him is Sven, who is 2 seconds ahead at the moment. Let's see how long it takes for him to close that gap. The gap at the front actually starting to stabilise now a bit, as Bread just has caught a 10th there over the last couple of laps. But Chiquito, hot on his heels for the moment, he's seemed to have found a little bit of rhythm perhaps, and is able to keep a little bit closer. As Dresser gets himself 3 seconds, that's going to hurt a lot with his attempt at catching Chiquito in this race. Of course, Chiquito also has 3 seconds, so it won't directly affect his battle against Chiquito, but it will make it harder for him to keep that train of Sepsky, Ladamala and Polby. Polby, who also has a penalty, unfortunately for him, behind. Let's have a look now. Chiquito actually is fallen quite far back to that first sector, so it looks like that first sector is an area on this track where he's struggling a bit, but you can see Bread here getting visually closer to Tal Pierce. Maybe he's just protected his tyres a little bit more, although from that lock-up I'd expect probably not, although it might just be some desync because his lines don't look like they really suggest like a lock-up's happened. And Rally moving his way past Basket at the end of the back straight there, so that's Rally up into P12 with Jim just ahead. Jim struggling now for pace on those old soft tyres, and saying that Jim's round. He spun on the exit. You think he used reset to track there. Not sure how allowed that is, but Ladamala, the first to blink, he's in the pits looking for an undercut on the rest of the field. Now let's see what tyres he goes for. He has 19 laps left of this race, and it's going to be the soft tyre. He's gone for a 2-stop here as Ladamala. Not sure about that one. I think I would have preferred the 1-stop if I was in his position and put on some hards, but obviously I'm not him and he's going to do what he thinks is best. So let's see how it works out for him the rest of this race. He's going to have a very fast set of tyres in his car for the next 9-10 laps, which will take him a good chunk of the distance into this race. He might, I was going to say, if he's going to do soft medium, I'd have pitted a little bit earlier, maybe taken it 8 laps, done 2 sets of 8 lap stints, and then maybe a 9 lap middle stint. That way you can be on about lap 16, 17, which would leave a good 10, 11 laps on those medium tyres, instead of taking your softs 9, because at the moment he's taking his softs 9 laps, so if he takes this set of softs 10 laps, because they don't have to do a quali lap, that's to be lap 19, and it's going to be another soft stint to the end, but he has to use a different set of tyres. But speaking of different set of tyres, Rudy coming alive on those mediums, moving his way up into P8, already gained the 2 seconds on Sven and passing in the last couple of laps since we're looking, and really taking advantage of that better rubber at this stage of the race. You can just see how much understeer Sven's getting through that triple left-hander. You can see these guys really struggling, but yeah, you can see top runners all staying out on track, so they're most likely going to try that 1-stop onto either a medium set if they can take it long enough, or a hard set if they want to go a bit more conservative. Really looking to pit around about lap 11 or 12, I'd imagine. A lot of these guys. Dresser gets himself another penalty, and he's actually fallen off the back of Chiquito over the last couple of laps. So it's looking like his fight here today is with Sepsky and Polhu, but he has 6 seconds of penalties, unfortunately for him. Sepsky currently without a single penalty, and Polhu, of course, with his 3 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys filter out after stops and where they are at the end of the race after those penalties are applied, because this could be quite a close battle. Speaking of penalties, Ishtar getting a 3-second time penalty there for corner cutting. So that's a straight penalty for corner cutting rather than for multiple track limit incursions. You can just start to see here Bread looking a little bit more comfortable through this part of the track than Chiquito is. Chiquito still staying quite close to the rear end of that Ferrari though, 4/10 is the gap as they come through the final couple of corners here. Let's see who's going to pit, who's not. Tao Piz stays out another lap, and Red dives into the pits. Looks like a late decision, but he's gone for an undercut by the looks of it. Going to use a fresher set of hards, I'd imagine, at this point to take himself to the end of the race. And he's followed in by Dresser and Polby and Palmer. So now is that time for the one-stop strategy to start working as he goes into mediums. Is he okay, that suggests a two-stop, and so does Palmer and Dresser. In fact, they all go for mediums. So Ladder, or Jim there, I think, is spun in the final sector on those hards. But it does look like all of these guys are going for the two-stop then, but they're using that harder compounded tyre for their middle stint. Let's see how it works as a virtual safety car comes out, so anyone coming up to the pit lane, which doesn't look like anyone at the moment, as Ishtar retires from this session, and that becomes our second retirement here, so he will leave us with 16 runners left in this race. Not sure what the virtual safety car was for, but I don't think it really helps anyone here since everyone's so far away from the pit lane. Yeah, so I know the one-stop and two-stop strategy are fairly even here on most races. I definitely wouldn't think I'd recommend going soft, medium if you're doing a two-stop, because you're going to be pretty slow at the end of the race compared to a lot of people. You know, if you do that two-stop with the soft, medium, soft, you're going to have that fast tyre right at the end of the race with the track grips at its highest. As we just see, Tao Piz actually not pit, but Chiquito does. So Chiquito tried using that BSC, but it ended as he came past the pit, and Tao Piz continuing on, suggesting that he will be looking for a one-stop in this race. And the reason I was saying that I wouldn't suggest doing soft, medium is because the advantage that the mediums have over the hards just isn't really big enough. And yeah, so just by not having that extra advantage over the one-stoppers, it would be harder to close the gap that obviously appears by making that extra stop, whereas if you're on the soft tyre at the end, you're going to be taking full advantage of the track when it's at its best, and that will just help you to close the gap to these hard runners who have decided to one-stop. And again, even if you're on the mediums, in that last stint you're going to be losing out to the other guys who did the same strategy but slightly flipped it. So you see Will here actually looking for a second move on the straight. Looks like he's not going to quite have the momentum. Now he's under pressure from Ladder Mala trying down the inside into this double right hand here. Maybe Barsi gets up for grabs too. He tries around the outside. Barsi going very narrow, very defensive, and parks it on the exits. Tao Piz finally pits, but that leaves him vulnerable around the outside of his triple right-hander. And what a move! I don't think Barsi fought it particularly hard, but still round the outside of that triple right-hander is good stuff. And Ladamala moving his way up into P4 here, which would be P3 once he passes Tao Piz. Look at that undercut. Ladamala was so far behind Tao Piz, and now Tao Piz has found his way behind. Ooh, as he comes out of pits, very close to Bread. Bread and Scorsy fighting it out as they come towards the S section. So yeah, Tao Piz has lost about 3 seconds to Bread there. He's now going to try a move on Scorsy too. Scorsy allowing it to happen, and Dresser coming through as well. Bread already looking for the move on Chiquito. It's strange, what happens to these guys? Why are they behind guys who've already stopped, like Chiquito? Very strange. Must have been some kind of issue with getting held in the pits, or maybe just the undercut being that powerful, but I didn't expect to see Tao Piz and Bread both behind Chiquito in this race, as there's going to be 3 wide as we come down to the hairpin once again, as Bread puts it up the inside of Barsi but overshoots it a little bit, and that's going to allow Tao Piz to come and attack the Ferrari driver. He's going to lose out on the exit of the double right-hander. Dresser with a big moment there. Is he going to catch it? He does just about catch it. What? Wow, that car control was insane there. And up ahead, Tao Piz unable to defend his position from Bread, who came up the inside of the double right, sorry, the double left-hander. So now he's going to be back onto Wilt's rear wing here as Ladamala makes a pass for second place. Ladamala making a huge undercut here. Is now actually in the net lead of this race as it stands. So great stuff from him at the moment. As you can just see, the extra confidence that these fresh medium tyre runners have over those who have been on their medium since the start of the race. And it's really starting to show when you look up ahead at this fight between Wilt and Bread. Just look at the lines, look at the pace advantage as Basket is retired from the race. As there's another incident there, and it's a virtual safety car again. He's actually all the way out on the right side of the track there, so that suggests that there's been some kind of contact, and Dresser is a long way down from where he was, so I think he's had a spin here as well. Maybe he was involved in the contact with Basket. Let's just check. He doesn't have any damage that's visible to us at least, so that's quite unlucky for him to lose so much time here. But the VSC is out. This will neutralise the race a little bit. No one's going to overtake, so this will hurt these guys who have just made their stops and would want to make moves, but it's just got in there. Jesus. Green flag racing just in time for Dresser there, who pounces and takes advantage of Rossi napping a little bit. Moves his way back past the Ferrari into P12. So looking to make a bit of a recovery over the next few laps, I'd imagine, as we move back forwards towards Tao Piz. Again, so close to the rear of the Ferrari of Bread, but Bread will have that advantage of DRS on Wilt as well. Let's see what happens here. Wilt already going to the inside a bit, already alongside as we come past the exit of the pit lane. Looking for an outside move here is Bread, as not quite enough room was left there, and that's a 3-second time penalty. So he got pushed off the track a bit and got a penalty as a result. And now he's going to go side by side through the S section. There's a bit of contact as they come through the middle part, and Bread unable to find a way through for the time being. And Tao Piz also unable to take advantage of that as it is. And looking like Bread lifted off a bit there to gain the DRS advantage. Now is Tao Piz going to take advantage of this himself, because he will have DRS and Wilt will not? So let's see as we move down. It's actually looking like Wilt using a lot of VRS there to defend, as Tao Piz already through. Now is he going to try on the outside? He is. Brakes very late, but he's not going to have the momentum. Unable to make a switchback work either. But he's going to send it up the inside here, and that was a bit opportunistic, I would probably say. It was very late on the brakes and probably unexpected for Bread to see a car just appear on his inside like that. Maybe made a little bit of contact, but I couldn't quite tell. Quite lucky if they didn't, as Polby now finds his way past Wilt and runs slightly off the track there. I'm pretty sure we've got a warning for that. Now let's see, Tao Piz with the DRS. Bread no longer has DRS of his own. Is there going to be a chance up into turn one? It looks like he's just a little bit too far away this time, unfortunately for him. But what I think that will allow for Bread to do is to close up to rally and gain DRS before the next DRS straight. So they will have to, yeah, look at that. He's already 8/10 behind, so Tao Piz will struggle to find a way past again this lap. Look at that. Look how much time was gained through the second part as Jim retires from the session in the pits. That's the third. Was he actually crashed into the... He has! Safety car! Oh, he crashed into the pit entry by the looks of it, and that has caused a full-blown safety car. I think Bread was just ahead of Rally when it came out, and I would expect that all of these guys on their old mediums, that's Rally, Rudy, Wilt, Sculzy and Rossi, to pit now and go, well, switch over to the 2-stop, I'd imagine. Unless they want to go on hards, but I don't know. Maybe they could take softs to the end with the safety car. It would be tight, but it's not exactly impossible, I don't think. We'll have to see. Now let's see. Obviously, they're all going to be coming up to the pit entry soon. Let's see what they choose to do. As Ladamala, I'm sure, did not want this to happen at all, but he might take this as his chance. Like he does. He does pit. So Rudy pits from the lead. Ladamala also comes in. Bread comes in and is followed by Rally. Chiquito also pitted. Let's see. Is Talpiz is going to pit. Pulpy stays out. So I'm pretty sure all of these, yeah, Ladamala pit for mediums, softs for Rudy, softs for Bread, softs for Rally, softs for Chiquito, softs for Talpiz. So yeah, of course Ladamala had to use those mediums because he already used 2 sets of softs. And has to, of course, use 2 different compounds. Sepsky and Polby choosing not to pit here, and they're going to be under a lot of pressure from these guys on softs, but it might work out because they will have the better tyres later on. Looks like Talpiz has managed to jump Bread in the pits there, so Bread looking like he got held there in the Ferrari garage, which is the Ferrari garage quite early on in the pits, so that will lead to a higher chance of getting held. Unfortunately for him, compared to the guys in the Alpha Tauris, in the Alfa Romeos, Williamses, Haas's, you know, all those kind of cars in the second half of the pit lane are actually a lot less likely to get held because they don't have to deal with every car that comes into the pits like as much as the Red Bulls, Ferraris and Mercedes drivers will. Let's have a look. Just having a look at the way the grid stacks up here. So I would think for the rest of this race that actually Rudy has pulled an absolute madness of a strategy here. Because he's now on the soft tyres to what would be the end of the race. He's done his mandatory tyre change because he was on the mediums before. And he's now on that softest compounded tyre with both cars ahead of him being on older mediums. Now the mediums will be fine to the end and the softs will be a bit more sketchy come the end of the race. But if he can get a good restart here, he's in prime position to win this race. And of course he tried starting last, didn't quite start last, but well, he started 17th, so it's not exactly like it's any less impressive, but this safety car was pretty well timed for him and he's pulled a madness strategy wise here. The top 2 drivers on the grid being the only ones who didn't pit there, and Dresser finding himself currently in 14th and last at the moment, so it's quite unfortunate for him. I'm just gonna have a quick look at, is chat even working? Hold on. No, oh, that's a shame. But yeah, so lap 18, so pretty sure we'll see the safety car coming this lap. In fact, we are seeing the safety car coming this lap. You can already see Polby backing up the field. We have a bit of a mess at the back here between Sven and Rossi. Hopefully they sort each other out. Looks like they have. So we're going to keep our eyes on Polby for now. He's leaving a huge gap to that safety car. As Sven gets 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flags, but I'm fairly certain that could get removed by a steward. It seems like a safety car glitch happened there with someone braking a little bit too late. Now let's see, when is Polby going to choose to go? He goes out of the penultimate corner, so he's going to have this final corner here, and we're going to be back to green flag racing as soon as they cross that line. Wilt with 5 seconds for a severe collision, and that is not great for him at all. Now let's see, Chiquito very close to the rear of Ladamala. He tries around the outside, brakes very late, and maybe a bit too late. He goes off the track, and he's made contact as he tries to come back on. We have in the background Tal Piz trying around the outside of Rally. Brett looking like he wanted to make it 3 wide for a second there, but was unable to find the traction to make it work. And now it looked like he probably picked up a warning there. But coming towards the end of the first sector, of course, no DRS for the next couple of laps. DRS will get enabled on the 3rd lap after the safety car comes in. So you expect there to be a few less position changes to begin with, but some of these faster drivers already looking to carve their way back through the field after being out of position because of the safety car. Bread now passing Rally as we have up ahead Ladamala and Chiquito going at it. Chiquito around the outside of Ladamala, made it work. Rudy and Sepsky were also fighting there. Rudy moving his way up into P2, and whoa, big lunge there from Chiquito, and he make it work in all fairness. I don't know if he maybe made a bit of contact, it sounded like he did, but he did get the move done on Sepsky, so fair play to him. And now Sepsky under pressure from Ladamala. Let's see if Ladamala is able to make those 5-lap fresher mediums work for him on this restart. Have a look, Ladamala, I hate this camera angles. Set Dresser with the fastest lap of the race. Looking to the inside, he's got the better run. Is he going to get the power down in time? It looks like he's going to have to try around the outside. Maybe just a little bit too far back, and he has to back out coming into the S's. Polby with 3 seconds for multiple warnings. That's going to hurt him quite badly come the end of this race, as I think that's his 3rd track limit penalty now, so he should be on 9 seconds. Just having a look, Ladamala still very close to the back of Sepsky, maybe going for the move into the hairpin, so I think he made that move just in time to get the DRS still, so he's going to have the DRS down the straight now, but sorry, there's no DRS just yet. But what he has done is made his traction worse, and he's allowed Tal Piz through on both cars. So Tal Piz moving his way up into 4th place. Now Bread going for a lunge into the hairpin, and he's that's a bit of a squeeze there on exit, but he has made the double overtake into the hairpin, and that was a very crucial move for his race here, keeping up with Tal Piz, which of course will be important, as these two were effectively 1 and 2 before the safety car came out and messed up everyone's positions. We actually have Chiquito very close onto the rear of Rudy here, so let's see if he's able to make anything work. As they cross the line, DRS is enabled once again. Tal Piz fastest lap of the race at 33.2. Of course, still 8 laps to go in this race, so plenty of time to make up those positions, but Polby still in the lead of this race. Rudy in P2, Chiquito hot on his tail though, looking like he's got the better pace for the moment, but Rudy able to stick in the section of Polby, who's struggling a bit with his older medium tyres. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how this one plays out now that DRS is enabled. Tal Piz, of course, looking to get involved in this as well. Already on the back of Chiquito, should be a fairly simple DRS pass for him. Barring any issues out of this corner, it looks like it's fine, so Tal Piz should be making a fairly easy move here for P3 if he uses his ERS. It's a move out the front though. Polby now getting passed by Rudy, and Rudy up into the lead of this race. Here on lap 21, as we have Rally also passing Sepsky, and a big cut there from Chiquito. So I would definitely expect him to have picked up a warning from that. Talpiz unable to find a way through, so maybe just being a bit more careful with his ERS as Chiquito trying this move that he already did once. He's going to try it again, pushing Polvi to the outside of the triple right-hander, and he's got the move done on the Racing Point driver. But what this fighting is going to do is it's going to help out Rudy, who's already about 7/10 in the lead of this race, and although that did come down a little bit, maybe he made a mistake for the final corner there. Maybe it's just one of his weak points bred now with the fastest lap of the race. So all of these guys trying to fight their way through the field, trading fastest laps. Talpiz makes the move for P3 here, moves his way up onto the podium with that great move into turn 1. Just later on the brakes and with those better tyres, obviously both fresher and softer. So now he's got his sights on both Chiquito and Rudy, who are on the same strategy as him. No more free passes for him in this race. I called Polvi. I guess Polvi was a free pass as soon as the DRS got enabled, but before then he did put up a great fight to keep his position. So I wouldn't exactly call him a free pass. It looks like he is going to be a pretty free pass for Reds, however, as they come down the straight and the Ferrari driver pulls out from the slipstream. Yeah, so we up the inside. Pretty simple move. Up into P4 for the Ferrari driver. He's back on the tail of his biggest rival in this race. Aero. What's wrong, RDO? Hold on. You mean the cars? Hold on, I'll turn them down. As Jim leaves the session there, so he obviously retired from this race, bringing out the safety car, and has decided that he's had enough of watching for now. Scully down into last place there. As Dresser, in fact, Dresser pits, so Dresser down into last place. Vladimir passes Polvi into turn 1, but he's going to keep it side by side, see if he can fight this as Dresser retires from the session. He's obviously had enough. It becomes the 5th retirement in this race, and Polvi keeps the position ahead of the Renault driver for now, at least. So moving back towards the fight at the top, we're going to see Talpiz now very close on the back of Chiquito. Chiquito definitely looking like he hasn't quite got the pace that Rudy does. He's not exactly miles off. He is still in that slipstream range, but just not really the same gap behind that Talpiz is able to be on him. Oh, that's a very late move there. As I think they're going to try and go through wide as Talpiz backs out because of that late move by Chiquito in an attempt to take the lead of this race. Hasn't worked out for him though, and he's actually made contact with the rear of Rudy there into the double right-hander, so he will not make that work, and Rudy goes a bit defensive, preventing that move that Chiquito's already pulled off twice with a double left-hander in this race. Now moving last couple of corners here. Chiquito able to stay very close to the back of Rudy, as is Talpiz on Chiquito. Maybe a move coming into turn 1. We'll have to see. Moving on to lap 24 of this race. 5 laps to go, and really the win. I don't know who's going to win this race. It's still up for grabs by at least 4 different guys, and in the event that anything crazy happens, possibly more. As Ladamella has finally found his way through on Polvi. I assume he did that on the back straight last lap. As Wilt now passes Swen into turn 1. Well, actually it looked like it was into turn 2, which would be a very good move if it was. But now just riding on board with Chiquito, obviously because he's pretty central in this fight. He's behind the leader Rudy, and he's got Talpiz quite close on his tail. Now let's see. Are we going to have a repeat of last lap, or is Chiquito going to be a little bit more careful this time? Rudy going defensive, so he's definitely expecting Chiquito to go for the move. Chiquito goes for the outside, but there's a bit of contact, and that I think hurt his momentum a little bit, and he was unable to get any kind of switchback. He is going to go for a lunge into the double right-hander, though just about left room there by Rudy. Respectful racing all round. Rudy going defensive into the double left-hander again. He knows Chiquito likes that move, or seems to know that Chiquito wants to make a move there, so he is keeping his car firmly on the inside to prevent Chiquito going for the big send. Let's see, back onto this main straight, not the biggest overtaking opportunity, but looking at how close he is, it's definitely not out of the question. He's going to go for the inside. It looks like Rudy choosing to stay on the outside, and Chiquito moves his way up into the lead of this race here on lap 25. So after all that battling, Chiquito does finally get through, but Rudy, if he's able to keep close to the back of him through this S section, will have the DRS down that back straight, which is a much better overtaking opportunity, of course. Although looking at the ERS, both Rudy and Chiquito struggling a bit on ERS in comparison to Tao Piz. So Tao Piz looking like he's got the advantage here in terms of ERS and maybe pace, but obviously track position is still extremely important. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, as Chiquito derating, Rudy also derating, and Rudy unable to go for any kind of move. Tao Piz staying behind once again, Bread staying behind that, and we have Harmer and Rally into the hairpin there. Harmer making his way through, Rally going to try and fight it back around the outside, but a bit of contact there, it looked like, and is unable to get anything done. Maybe the move into the double left-hander, sorry. Yeah, it looks like he locked up a bit, unable to make anything work. So we move back to the fight at the front, as Tao Piz actually starting to probably get a bit impatient here, I'd imagine, with the fighting going on in front of him. Rudy falling back from Chiquito, so it looks like Chiquito has the pace over the Williams driver right now. Yeah, nothing really interesting into turn one. Wouldn't really expect them to fight through there. It does lose you a lot of time, as Chiquito gets himself 3-second time penalty. So Rudy back into the net lead of this race, because Chiquito, Tao Piz and Bread, all the guys who are fighting him, all have penalties right now. So as Chiquito makes a mistake and he's round, and that's him. Yeah, he spun, he's got damage as well, so he's made a huge mistake there from the lead of this race, and he's falling down the order outside of the points even. He's down to last place, and that is horrible stuff for the Haas driver, who's looking so good just moments before. And now Tao Piz putting Rudy under pressure, gonna make a fairly simple DRS move into the hairpin here, although that's a bit of a cut there. Of course, Rudy still in the net lead of this race when it comes to penalties, however, so he could still win this race. He knows he doesn't have to fight it too hard and risk any kind of incident. He is still in the net lead of this race. And of course, crashing tends to put you out of contention for winning the race, if experience tells me anything. So Tao Piz now looking like he's able to stretch his legs a bit, already open that gap up to about 9/10. He's going to use his ERS to try and open it up to make sure that the cars behind don't get DRS on him as they come through the next DRS zone, of course being that long back straight. Let's just have a look at the gap as they come through the S section. It looks like Bread just struggling a bit and is falling off the back of this. Chiquito retires, becomes the 6th retirement in this race, leaving us with only 12 drivers here in the season finale. And what a great season finale it's been so far. A lap and a half to go, and let's see where it goes from here. Rudy still pressuring Tao Piz a little bit, but not really close enough to make any kind of move. Tao Piz using that ERS to try and extend his advantage. Rudy derating, of course, Bread also derating, so Tao Piz the only man left with any ERS at all. And it's starting to show when you look at the delta. Bread falling outside of that 1 second range to the Williams ahead. And of course we know that he had one of his warnings for being forced off the track, so maybe he could have 3 seconds removed. That's a big mistake from Tao Piz. Tao Piz also making a mistake on those older soft rubber. Oh my god, what is going on? We've had 2 race leaders nearly spin. Whoa, one of them did spin and the other one nearly spins and lose the race lead in 2 laps. And now it's Rudy back in the lead of this race on the track, and it's just going crazy here at the end of this USA Grand Prix. What a way to finish this season. And now it's going to be whether Tal Piz can move himself back ahead of Bread on this final lap of the race. He does seem to have the pace. Bread falling outside of DRS range, so maybe not going to have the benefit of DRS as we come through the next DRS detection point. And that could be huge, because that could allow Tal Piz to make the move into the hairpin. So we're just having a look at this gap. Tal Piz staying very close, using his ERS tactically to gain here. And he's going to have the DRS, so he will have the DRS the gap 2/10 as they come into this corner. And I think it's going to be very difficult for Bread to defend this one at all. He's already derating as they come into the straight. Tal Piz now also derating, but he has that DRS advantage. He's up into second place, but Bread's tucking into his slipstream. Is he going to go for it? No. He's going to hold it in third place for now. And that is a bit of redemption there for Tal Piz, moving his way up into second place with the last lap. But what could have been, he was leading the race on track. Of course, he did have that penalty that could, well, probably would have hurt his chances of winning this race. But it is Rudy who's first on track from last at the start of this race. It's going to be Rudy who takes the win here in the finale of the ALR season here in USA, followed by Tal Piz and Bread rounding out the top three. Ladamala goes second on those 11 lap old mediums, so all that fighting from Tal Piz and Bread, and that's cost them positions to Ladamala. And wow, so Ladamala getting P2 after what has been a horrible season for him following his great form in the previous season. And Rudy, driver of the day, quite deservingly after that last to first race. And yeah, wow, what a race there from Rudy. I mean, safety car, you could say he was lucky with the safety car timing, and you could say all kinds of stuff, but at the end of the day, the man started P17 and he's finished first place. So what a drive from him. What a way for our tier 1 champion to round out the season. Tal Piz getting the fastest lap at the end of the race there. Ladamala getting P2 after what was a pretty good drive on those worn mediums. New mediums at the end. Obviously put him at a disadvantage to the guys in the softs, but he made it work anyway. Mostly down to the help of the fighting in front. Tal Piz third, rounding out the podium here on Bread fourth. Rally in fifth, with Skolzy in sixth. So a good drive from him, starting literally last to make his way up into sixth place and get some good points. Sepsky seventh, with Harmer eighth, Polwy ninth, and Wilt rounding out the top 10. Swen, Rossi, and Chiquito, the last of the finishers, with Dresser, Jim, Basket, Ishtar, and Yarlo all retiring in the final race of the season here. And wow, what a season. It's been absolutely action-packed all the way from start to finish. I think the only truly boring race we had was Canada. That was a pretty bad race, but apart from that, what a season. To come to the end of the season here, it's of course been an honour to commentate here again for another season. Obviously this is my first full season commentating. I think last season I started round 5 or 4 for the British Grand Prix, whichever race that was last season. But yeah, so finally got a whole season in here in ALR, and it's been another great one to witness. I hope you guys who have all been along for the ride have enjoyed it just as much as I have, because yeah, it's been drama and action all the way through, and I think that last race there really encapsulated that, with the cars spinning at the end of the race and all kinds of stuff, you know, leaders bottling it right at the end, and Rudy going from last to first at the season finale. It's crazy stuff. But of course Rudy is your champion for this season. I think if I look at the table, Where is it? I think Dresser came second with. Where did Polhi finish? Hold on. I think Polhi gets third in championship ahead of Ghost Toy. I have to check. It'll be very tight. He came sixth. No, he came. Wait, hold on. Where did he come after penalties? I think penalties might have decided a position here in the championship for Polhi. Yeah, Polby finished 8th after penalties, so he only scored 4 points, so he does come 4th in this championship. If he didn't have those penalties, it would have been a P3 in the championship, but he only gets 4th, obviously with Ghost Toy not racing today, but he only manages 4th because of the 4 points he gets from this race, 6 points behind Ghost Toy, so quite unfortunate for him. Just looking at the chat, see if anyone wants to come for a final race interview. Let's have a look. Where's the ping for him? There it is. Just waiting on a response here. If we don't get one, then we'll end the stream. If we do get one, yeah, okay. Rudy says he wants to. Talpiz says he can't. Still waiting on. Is add him as a friend? Oh, okay. He's adding me as a friend. Okay, cool. Search. What was it? 1973. There it is. And we're going to start a party. Let's go. Group created. Let's see. Let's see. Just wait for him to join. Just gonna wait a couple of minutes for him here. Hello. Well, firstly, well done on that insane race. Would have been a perfect last to first if it wasn't for the glitch that gave your teammate last on the grid, but we'll ignore that. Yeah, just a quick interview here for the end of the season. Obviously, you are the Tier 1 champion, so well done for that, first of all.
Cheers.
And I think the first question's got to be, what were you thinking when that safety car came out?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. That was exactly the lap I wanted to pit. And then the SC came out and it was just perfect. And all the guys behind me even guys on softs or on the mediums that had already pitted were also going in because the mediums are way too slow at the end. So I was P3 when I came out of the pits, and then I knew if I keep it clean, and I didn't have penalties as well, so it was when Chiquito passed me, I was really bothered. I was just hoping I could stay with him, and then he crashed, and then Taupis overtook me, and he spun out as well, or had a half spin. So yeah, this was actually my first on-track win of the season. And I had 5 race wins, so the rest were all penalties.
Yeah, well, I mean, consistency is obviously the biggest thing in a championship across the whole season, and you've been very consistent at being one of the guys who just doesn't get penalties. So that's helped you out a lot, and yeah, so it's just good stuff, you know. Obviously, we all want to win on track, but 5 wins this season, you said it yourself. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good because at the start of the season I wasn't really on the pace. End of last season I had 1 pole position, but that was it. And I was really hoping I could challenge for the title at the start of the season, but then first few races didn't go as planned. I was pretty far off the pace, and Ghostoy kept winning every race. So I thought that he was going to be unbeatable, and then he had some bad races and he couldn't compete sometimes, and then I just kept consistent, and over the season my pace got better and better, and at the end of the season I think in Italy I also took my only pole position of the season as well. So yeah, I've improved so much over the season. At the start of the season I hoped I could challenge, but when those guys started being so quick I thought that would never happen, but it happened. So yeah, really, really happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of that, I think you won the championship by like 72 points, something like that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, big congratulations on that. And I've got to ask, when you saw both Taupis and Chiquito spin in front of you towards the end of that race, you must have been... Well, how were you feeling? That must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, especially when Chiquito crashed, because I knew I was gonna jump in anyway, because he had 9 seconds, and then he spun out, and Taupis was really quick over the course of the race, so if someone was gonna pull out of those 3 seconds, it was gonna be him, and then he overtook me, and he also, on the last lap, or second to last lap, penultimate lap, he made a mistake, and then I could easily stay in his DRS, and then he also had a half spin. Then I thought, yeah, I've got this win in the bag, and yeah, it wasn't even like I didn't even have to fight for the on-track win because it just got given to me.
Yeah, I mean, still deserved it nonetheless. You made some great moves early on in that race. I think I was looking at it, and you were in the points like 4 or 5 laps into that race, so you're making up a huge amount of positions on the start. And is that really an area you feel like you've been good all season, the start of the races?
Yeah, start of the races have always been good, staying out of trouble especially. Can't remember last time I picked up damage on the first lap, so that's always helpful to not stay out of trouble. And this first lap as well, it was pretty chaotic. I was just really, really, really patient. And after a few laps, I was the lead medium runner, and then I saw that the soft started to drop off, and I already thought like I could maybe even, because those softs at the end of the race are much faster than those mediums, so I already thought I could maybe even challenge for a P5 or something. And then the safety car came out and everything just went my way.
Yeah, yeah. It was must have must have felt great. But across the whole season, as you said, barely ever picked up damage on the first lap. So it's one of the important things. Obviously, if you get damage, that's just going to ruin your race. And so, well done on the championship this season. It's really been a great drive from you. You've been clean. You've been taking your opportunities when you need to, and you've been good with penalties. And that consistency is, I think, probably the biggest factor in winning it. But just as a final question, most important thing, of course, was it fun?
Yeah, it was. Over the course of the season, a lot of on-track battles. Um, at the start of the season, it looked like Gusto was going to run away with it, and now in the last race, of course, starting from the back, I was looking forward to this race because I knew I had the championship, and I was really looking forward to like get through the field and hopefully take like a top 5 position. And yeah, today's race was the most fun I've had in a lot of in a long time. It was,
Yeah, it was super fun to watch too. Trust me. Yeah, but thank you for coming and doing this. It's appreciated. You're the first guy to come to an interview since Dressbassen in the first race, so appreciate it a lot. But thank you for the great season, and I think I speak for everyone watching the stream right now when I say that it's been great fun to watch. Of course, we still have the tier 4 and 5 races to come, so anyone watching the stream, if you want to check out those, they'll be on Sunday at 8 p.m. UK time. And starting from next week, we have the F2 Championship, which will just be F2 cars with sprint race and feature race, all preset set up, so no custom setups or anything. It'll just be a good bit of fun for the next couple of weeks. Um, Reno says no shout out for engineers Christopher and Reno and Reno. So
shout out to them.
yeah, obviously must have helped a lot. Did you have them in every race or most races or what?
No, they weren't even like really my engineers. They were racing in tier 3, so yeah, it was good fun.
Okay.
But Reno crashed out a lot, so he was my engineer at those races.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But I'm not sure he'd like you said he crashes out a lot on stream. But anyway, but thank you all for coming to the stream. Hope you enjoyed this season. We will be back for next season in about 3 weeks' time. I think we have a 3-week break before the next season starts. So hope to see you all then. Thank you and goodbye.